Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of Center Stage, the show where we take people from the performance world and put the spotlight on them. My name is TRENTON, I'll be your host, and today with me is someone who needs no introduction in my opinion. She is from Brownsville, PA. She is a junior history major with a minor in theater, history, and literature, and a minor in pre-law. She played Tilly in last semester's production of She Kills Monsters here at California University, or in this case, Penn West University, California. Give it up for one and only ALLISON DOBRINSKI. Allie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Trenton.
Yes. So we're here interviewing today. Tonight, as we're recording this, is the opening night for Clown Bar, the show that you're a part of. You play Blinky Fatale. So first off, the first question I want to ask you is, how's the show going so far?
I love the show. I think it is my biggest stress relief in life with my major. I'm constantly reading, writing, and I have a ton of assignments. And when I get to go in the evening and goof around and create this character and escape from my world, it is the best feeling.
But I would say this character, getting to know you as a person, this character, I feel like you take some aspects and you like to kind of take it up to 100, would you say?
Yeah, I definitely feel like my personality, a lot of people don't know how raunchy and crazy I can really get. My closest friends can see how goofy I can be. I think Blinky let me channel that. It was really funny. I had a whole different idea for Blinky, an audition process. I didn't even know that's what I was going to be. Our director, JP, remembered from my audition as Tilly, I went out there with a puppet and attacked another person in a Jersey accent, and he remembered that for the next audition, and he took that and ran with it, and that's kind of where it all started with her, and just I kept going and going, and one day it clicked, and she became insane, so. And
here we are now. So Clown Bar, a fun thing about this show that I really love is that the set. So for those who are going to be seeing the show, the interesting thing about this set is that it is a very unorthodox one. It actually is a bar setting. So the actors are actually performing on the same level as the audience, where everyone's sitting at tables and different miscellaneous, different types of chairs and stuff like that. It really immerses the audience. From what I saw it last night, it really immerses the audience into the world of the show. You have people walking up to the bar where concessions are and stuff like that. You have characters walking from behind the audience, in front of it, from the side. So I want to ask you about that. What is that like from the acting standpoint, getting to immerse yourself with the audience?
Yeah, this is really interesting. I, as a performer in high school, always performed on a proscenium stage where the audience sits back and I'm far away from them. The only thing I had to do was look at them. When I got to Penn West Cal Theater, being in the Blaney, the audience was really close. And that was intimidating as Tilly. And even then, I was like, oh, this is really close. I was nervous. And then when JP was like, this is going to be an alleyway, they're going to be on stage with you, your level, you need to interact with them, I was intimidated. I was nervous. And then I ended up loving it. I love it to death. It is the best experience. I get to ad-lib and add a little extra to Blinky. I get to walk up to people. I get to touch them. I get to put them in the show. And I think the audience appreciates that a lot. There's like 2 times I crawl throughout the crowd, and only those people really get that special moment with me, and the little giggles I'll give them when I tell them a joke or something as I crawl through. So as a performer, I broke free from this like fear of being so close and them being right there like we are right now, and I feel like it has made me grown as an actor in all. So it was a really cool experience, and I appreciate it a lot.
So it's not only just like a performance for you, but it is one big, like, you're growing as a performer as you do the show. So it's always interesting with a lot of performers, myself included, when we take on these new roles, that we tend to learn something new about what not only we can do as an actor, but the acting experience as a whole when it comes to theater. So one thing I do want to go on to is going back to your character, Blinky Fatale. Tell us a little bit about that very, very unique character.
Blinky Fatale, when we got the script, of course, there was no description other than she's a burlesque dancer. So what I made Blinky into is she's a burlesque dancer, but she has a really big age gap compared to the rest of the cast. I constantly say 55 years doing this, and so she must be in her 60s. She's old, she's tired of it, but it's her game. She loves it. She's raunchy, she's inappropriate. She's very kinky of a character, very dominatrix style, very commanding, dominating, loves the attention, loves the laughs, loves it all. Yeah, the performance life in the bar and that backroom stuff, that's her. She loves it all.
Well, and it seems like from what you're explaining to me and stuff like that, and getting to watch the show, it seems like you've got a lot of creative freedom with that character. I know a lot of times in theater and performance as a whole, we kind of are limited to what the playwright originally intended with the show. But with this, it seems like you got to have a lot of creative liberties with getting to kind of create your own vision of this character as a whole. So what was that like?
That in itself was also another great growing experience for myself, because sometimes you're given a character role. Like in high school, I played Cat in the Hat, and I struggled with it a lot more than I thought I would, because I was like, well, what does the cat do? And I didn't want to go outside that realm and disrespect like that already established character. Whereas Blinky is whoever I get to be, want it to be. In the creative process, for about a month, Blinky was not Blinky that you see on stage. Blinky was a sweet Southern belle for a month. I talked in a country accent, and I was sweet and not raunchy at all. And then one day, JP was like, I just want to hear Jersey one more time. I don't think I'm going to go with it. And I did it, and it was like, nope, we know who she is now. We know where we're going with this. So that freedom is so great to explore with. I feel like I also made choices as an actor and was able to explore more and understand who that character was and take it further for those funnier bits, the ad-libbing and all that.
So it almost was like there was a certain point where it just kind of all just clicked. That's really cool to know, like when you get to talk to an actor and stuff like that, hearing like their process and stuff like that. A lot of performers, whether it be people on the performance side or like, technical, directorial, stuff like that, when you get to hear how their creative mind thinks, where it's like, there's always that certain moment where something just clicks for everyone. So moving a little bit away from Clown Bar, I do want to ask you about your performance last year. As I mentioned previously before, and if you've mentioned, you were Tilly in She Kills Monsters, Penn, West California's spring play. So I want to ask you, what was it like doing that character?
Tilly is a complete 180 from Blinky. Tilly was 15. Tilly was dead. I was technically like a ghost the whole show. I was being reimagined by my sister through a D&D notebook and the journey I had. And basically that character, from what I got from it, was Tilly was picked on in school, the loner, but like wrote these escapism D&D adventures and got to explore her sexuality, being a lesbian, her struggles with bullying, and not having connection with her older sister that she might have wanted or kind of resented not having. In the beginning of the show, it portrays that Tilly dies with her parents, and her older sister, Agnes, has to deal with that. And then we follow along on this very mystical adventure through the world of Tilly. And I played this young, innocent girl fighting these monsters on stage, and that in itself was a totally different experience, but it was so fun We brought in a fight choreographer named Brent, and he gave me his very special sword. It was brand new that he had made, and I wielded that around. It was so big, you would stand it up, and I think it came up to my shoulders. I couldn't even put it down during the show because it was longer than my legs. So that experience, physically, I got to explore a younger person, an adventure, escapism world, and fighting. That's a whole nother aspect of theater I never thought I would get into. Thought I'd have to be in a Marvel movie to get that, you know?
And, you know, continuing with She Kills, but this kind of also draws back to Clown Bar as well, is now both shows have a lot of similar castmates that you had from She Kills going into Clown Bar, some that you did not work with during She Kills, but have worked with before and sometimes first time. One thing I always feel is important is the cast and crew. From your experience, what is it like getting to work with that cast and crew?
It means everything in the world. You spend hours with these people. If you get a cast or crew that's miserable and doesn't want to be there, you don't want to be there. Even though you want to love it, even though it's something you love, these people can really take down your mood sometimes. The cast for Clown Bar is almost carbon copy of She Kills Monsters. We only have one person that's new, introduced in, which is Blake Dowd. But as a friendship on campus, as everyone is, we're all able to integrate that easily. It was like no big deal. And we lost a couple people, like Amelia and Elena and some other people who are on the musical this fall. But the reason, I'm not a major. So when I did She Kills Monsters, I thought, well, if this is a bad experience, maybe I really just don't want to do theater. And I had a most amazing experience. And that was the whole reason I came back, was that cast. And I was maybe a little nervous for Clown Bar, like who am I gonna get, you know? And when it was pretty much the same cast, it's a blast. We love each other. It makes it enjoyable to go to. We support each other. We laugh. And you're comfortable with them, which helps with exploration. You don't feel judged, and that's huge.
Absolutely.
So
I know for me, an aspect that I've always carried very heavy with theater that I enjoy a lot is community. And, you know, community in my sort of way is, you know, you build that family. And from what I'm hearing, it sounds like between She Kills and Clown Bar, you have developed this very strong core family within the department, and as, you know, theater as a whole, that it just becomes that second group that you really connect with and stuff like that. And I can tell from what you're saying, you know, you really bonded over with a lot of them and stuff like that, to the point where you genuinely do feel that close connection. Now, you did mention when you were talking that, yes, you are not a major here. You're a history major and stuff like that. And actually, along with that, this past summer, I believe, you got to study abroad. How was that? Studying abroad
is so life-changing. In the moment, you may not think it is. Right after She Kills ended, I was on a plane to Scandinavia. I hit Norway, Finland, Denmark, and Sweden. And in that experience, you learn so much on-ground experience. You can do all the researching you want, but being there, feeling it, tasting the food, or feeling the weather, experiencing a different world. I mean, I thought it'd be more of like an aha moment when we landed and got in. It wasn't. You just kind of like walked into another city. But there was an aha moment after spending time there, and you're like, wow, this is so different and amazing. I got to experience different, almost different policies even while over there, how they live their lives, how their government works, you know, what they do, what their cities are like, what the weather's like, what the food is like, what the nightlife is like. I mean, it's just different, and it's so fun. And then that group of people, I didn't know anyone going on that trip. Even like the one person I did know, I wasn't very close with. And now we're just so close. We have a wonderful bond, have these amazing memories with them. It's like a little mini family I formed on that trip, especially because I was going through a lot. I had a kidney stone trying to pass the whole trip. So they were there for me and taking care of me, and it was so fun. And then about 2 months later, I went to Italy, France, and Switzerland, and that was an amazing experience, experiencing Moulin Rouge, performance in a whole different way, costuming, the theatrics, the spectacle. It was all done in French. I didn't understand a word what they were saying, and I knew the whole story just from their dancing. Oh, it completely changed my view on theater, and it was amazing.
Yeah. And, you know, and that's something else that we can even get into is the fact that you can take the thing about theater and, you know, performing arts as a whole is that you can take outside world elements and you can learn something new about the art through these, you know, and honestly, like the places you find least. And kind of going into that and stuff like that, as a history major, what would you say is something that you're able to take from, you know, your major? And I know you have a very big interest in history. We have talked a multitude of times about different historical events and stuff like that. Could honestly do a whole other show on just that. But with history and theater, what would you say that you have found studying history as a whole, elements that kind of are implemented with theater and stuff like that, kind of just how the two are connected?
You would not think that they were very much connected sometimes when you're watching a show, but when you really start to study it, you're like, wow, this is the personal view on that moment in time. In history, I take a lot of facts, and I know what happened, how it affected people as a whole. I know how it affected major leaders, or who were the leaders, who were in charge, you know, the main people. And then you get to theater, and you see people like Arthur Miller. He grew up during the Depression, World War II, and the McCarthyism era, and it reflects in his writing. He has a major distrust for government, and he writes that in his work. And it's interesting because he even doesn't even write about like modern day in The Crucible, one of my favorite plays. In The Crucible, it's about the Salem witch trials in the 18th century or 17th century. And it just shows like mistrust and all these different things. But you can see that, interpret that, and you get that personal view, because sometimes in history when you're reading that textbook, you're not getting how it personally affected someone or how people were responding to it. Playwrights respond to their environment, what they're going through. So it's fascinating. Even going back to Shakespeare, and sometimes the little jabs at the Puritans, you know, because they're trying to take away theater. So I can see that, and I appreciate it, and then I tie it right back into my history and my writing and different things, being like, this is how the world reacted to it on the personal level, which you don't really get to see in textbooks a lot.
So almost, from what I'm getting with that, it almost works in a certain way where it's like theater itself in a lot of cases can sometimes be used as not only like time capsule for certain points in time and stuff like that, depending on when they were written, but also in the sense of they can be used as sort of a perspective, whether it be, for example, like I'm a very big fan of political-based stuff. So like getting to see that and see kind of commentary from a bunch of different outlooks is really cool to kind of see like, okay, at this point in history, these are what these writers were doing. Is that kind of like what you're...
Definitely. A lot of post-World War II plays, you can see the playwright questioning, why is my life awful? Where is God in all of this? A lot of them, German playwrights, they didn't have towns anymore. It was rubble and all that. And they're like, why have I experienced so much trouble in my life? I mean, a lot of them have grown up. They were born, a lot of them were born before World War I. And it's called a world war for a reason. It was crazy.
I wonder why.
Yeah. And then they have the Depression for a decade where they're starving, no jobs, and then another world war. I mean, you think, why is the world ending? Especially with nuclear power and bombs. There was an idea that the world was going to end. We were just going to mutually destroy each other. so scary because now we can look back and be like, oh, it's going to be okay. We make it. But then they didn't know that. They didn't even know when they're going to eat next. So it is so a perspective on
It
how
really
they
lets
feel.
you kind of see that perspective. It's really interesting to kind of look at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
So we are kind of reaching the end of the interview. It's been great getting to talk to you and stuff like that. Great to have you as not only a guest on the show, but the very first guest, which is awesome. Been a good friend of mine for the past couple of years, ever since we met. So the last two things are going to be stuff that I ask every guest on the show. The idea of Center Stage is to really bring people from different walks of life in the performing arts, from whether it be from a technical standpoint, performance, directorial, any sort of area like that, and just getting to tell your story and stuff. So the two things I want to ask is, what is your favorite aspect about theater?
I think my favorite aspect is I get to escape, like I said earlier. It's fun. I love the social aspect of it. I'm a very extroverted person, love hanging out, but I also love exploring. I love getting to be goofy and creating a story, and then when it's performance time, I am at my dopamine high. I'm like, come see my show. Look what I've made. And I've made this and I've created the story with these people. And look how I fight. I can't be more proud of something physical to show someone.
Absolutely.
Than a theater performance or project or anything. It's an accomplishment to do something in theater to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And us as performers, you should feel proud about that, like what you put into it and stuff like that. For everyone, when you create, it's very important to have a little bit of pride in that. Not being selfish or having ego with it, but definitely having that sense of, I've accomplished this and people are enjoying it. So yeah, absolutely. And the last question is, to kind of sign us off for the day, the show is obviously called Center Stage. So the thing I always want to ask people is, there's one person in your life, whether it be currently, that you've always had this kind of feeling with, someone that you feel like deserves this spotlight just as much as you do in this moment, that you owe a lot to them. So my question is, who would you like to bring Center Stage with you?
I feel like this is maybe a common answer that maybe everyone will feel, but my parents. I wanted to be an actor since I was a little girl, and my mom was like, okay, and so we did a couple things. I was in the choir first at my school, and then when I got older and people weren't just like, oh, haha, that's a little kid saying they want to do that, and I was like, serious. When everyone else was like, that's not a job, that's not a career, my mother was behind me saying, if that's what you want to do, go and do it and be happy and you'll go far. I had a teacher tell me that's not a career, and it really confused me, and I ran around, didn't know what to do, and my mom was like, no, it is. You'll figure it out, you'll do it. Same with my father. We're on a trip together, and anything I do, he said, whatever you do, just tell me. I want to be 100% with you on it. We were on the stage of the Rockefeller Center in New York, and he said, let me get a picture of you on the stage because I want another picture again when you're on it performing. And just like those little things, like they truly believe in me and support me in whatever I do. And I don't think I would have kept going if it wasn't for them. I had no plans of doing theater in college, and I had a little bit of like should I, before my first semester here, and my mom was like, do it, go for it. She said, I'll make it happen. She said, you do it and you'll go. And from there, the people here have picked me up and saved me and brought me back into it, even when I wanted to leave and I came back. But they were definitely there holding me up and backing me and making me feel like I could still do it and enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I think this is does it for today. Once again, Allie, thank you for having me. Anything would you like to say to everyone watching?
Happy opening night. You guys need to come and see it. Meet us. I love to show you what I did, show you how crazy Blinky is compared to me, and then maybe if we become great friends, you'll see Blinky all the time, just as me instead. Thank you for having me, Trent. It was amazing.
Thank you for being our first guest, and hope to have you back sometime in the future. Thank you everyone for watching the first episode of Center Stage. My name is Trenton ANTILL. Once again, please, if you are free this week, starting tonight, October 24th at 7 p.m., the show is going to be running from tonight into Saturday evening. Clown Bar, please go see it. It's at Steele Hall, California University, Pennsylvania, or again, Penn West. Still not used to the name change yet. We'll get to it. But once again, my name is Trenton ANTILL. Thank you all for watching, and stay golden.